joining today's webinar. My name's Paul Morgan. I'm the sales manager at Crescendo Systems. Joining me today, I've got Phil Scully, who works in the MSK physio department, I think at Derbyshire Community. I'll introduce you to Phil and let him do his own little introduction as we go through. So you will have a chance to sort of listen to someone's experiences of using DMO as well. So let's just talk about the product. So Dragon Medical One is a cloud-based speech recognition engine. A lot of people have heard of Dragon Medical, but this is, like I say, the latest cloud offering. There are a lot of people out there on the old desktop platform still. So I'll briefly, the cloud version is, as it says on the screen there, pretty much bulletproof. When you log in, you're logging into a cloud server, basically a supercomputer. So there isn't anything on your PC to slow it down, or you get speed or delays from speech to text appearing and that sort of stuff. That's all gone. The one profile, it means there isn't any training. You don't need to talk to it. And with DMO, there is now an integration with SystmOne. Anybody that uses SystmOne, if you use your PC settings, you'll see that there is an integration with SystmOne now. That basically means it works like a Windows application as opposed to SystmOne, which is a Java-based application. Just going on from that, one user, one profile, I've already mentioned. There is also, sorry, yeah?
Sorry to interrupt you. Just checking, you haven't got your screen shared, right?
Oh, sorry. Sorry, everybody. Let me just... So it always helps if you're screening it. Yeah, so I was talking about there is also a mobile app for DMO. So those people that are kind of truly mobile, where you work from PC to PC, you can install this anywhere very quickly without admin rights, is the first point. So you can have access to it on any PC, any consulting room, laptop. But obviously the implications of that is you may not have a microphone available at every PC. There is now a phone app that you can download onto a smartphone. When you talk into your smartphone, it acts as a microphone, and a high quality one for speech recognition. Okay, so if you're mobile, it truly works. Usage analytics as well built into the cloud-based. So if you were to run this system and you wanted to see what's happening across your team in terms of data usage, how much it's being used, whether the additional functionality is being used, and seeing if you're getting value for money, all those reports are available now. And there is also, many people think of Dragon as a speech to text tool, which it is, and it does it incredibly well. But the additional functionality that Dragon has, we're going to talk about with our guest. But these include auto text, auto commands, add in bespoke words, that sort of stuff. Okay. So I'm going to introduce you to Phil now. So let's just stop sharing my screen. Bear with me 1 second. Hi, so yeah, this is Phil. I'll let you introduce yourself, Phil, if that's okay.
Yeah, no problem. My name's Phil Scully. I work in MSK physiotherapy in Derbyshire Community Health Services. I'm part of the education team over there as well. And I've been working with Paul recently just to work on the extra functionality of Dragon and really get our user experience up to scratch and make sure we're using it to the best of its ability. which we have been doing, which is obviously been fantastic for myself. And obviously Paul invited me here today just to talk to you guys from a medical kind of side using SystmOne and Word and things, like how we use it day to day.
Great, thanks, Phil. If I could just dig a little bit into what I know, you've been a user of Dragon for quite some time, and I think you sort of stem back to the old days of the desktop version. Again, I think there's quite a lot of that out there. Can you just talk about a little bit about the difference between the cloud and the older version, just in your experience?
Yeah, so we still actually have a few users on the old system. Well, it's just finished last month, so we've transferred everyone over, and Paul's been helping with moving some of those commands across, which we can do, which has been a big help because people don't want to lose anything. I think the main difference is really the speed of it, because it works on, I believe it's a cloud system, so it's a lot quicker, rather than working off your computer. So rather than having the circle of doom, which we all get, and especially on some of our computers, it's just a lot quicker. It's a lot smarter, so it picks things up a lot quicker. We found, well, I particularly found that it's a lot quicker when I'm like adding words and dictating, so it can do like two or three lines quite easily without having to wait for one line, then correct. So I find it's a lot more accurate as well.
Perfect.
And I think one of the better things is the particular words and the way that we say things, that once you've trained it once, it remembers it. So I say Jupiterans, for a finger contracture, it always says Jupiter when the old system. Didn't matter how many times I corrected it. It took me ages, but it didn't. It still got Jupiter, probably because I'm saying it wrong, but anyway. So yeah, I've corrected it once on this new system, and it's never got it wrong again, which is brilliant.
Yeah.
So I say sharper, faster, more accurate. I personally don't have any other computers that I use, except for when I've forgotten my laptop, and that does happen, because it's life, isn't it? I have been able to use my profile on another computer in the hospital, so that kind of portability is quite nice as well.
Yeah, I think that's as I think I mentioned in the opening bit, again, for those clinicians that do work from multiple places, the fact that you can install this without intervention from IT from a link in 2 minutes is a really useful thing. And of course, you're logging into your same profile. So as you said, Phil, your added words are going to follow you, and some of those custom commands are going to follow you around as well. Just going back to, you mentioned, which, obviously I've worked with you on building some of your sort of automated stuff. What I'd like to get across to the audience is, as I said, most people think it's just speech to text, but can you talk about the fact that you can sort of call up some of your documents and use auto text and that sort of stuff, just to give people an idea of how that works?
Yeah, absolutely. So on the old system, they had a different name for this as well, but the auto text is basically something that you will say a command and it will populate. So we use it for safety netting a lot. So for example, we'll use cord requiring a safety netting. So I'll just say into I can use this microphone as well. That was another thing to mention, that we can use these and any headphones with a microphone, which is a lot better rather than always having to rely on the other handset as well. So if truly hands-free, make sure you can move your mouse as well. But those commands, so for example, I'll say mail cord requiring safety netting, and it'll just have my populated text, which I've preset. So rather than writing that 1 million times like I do, it's there, it's quick, it's accurate. It's been even gone through some of our governance to make sure that we're all happy what we're saying. So the quality of our notes is better. We use it for.
Sorry,
Oh,
can I just start? So would that be across your team, Phil?
So a lot of the teams, we're trying to like have like our standard phrases. We're trying to get that into governance as well. Just because obviously it's good for everyone to have the same, because there's obviously difference in understanding of certain things, but to have like some standard phrases, brilliant. Because then, if I say governance, you say keeping yourself safe as well.
Because I think it's just before. No, you carry on actually, because I'll cover that at the end.
I'd say the other thing we use it for in that kind of sense with templates is I'll say open MSK template. He'll fire it up, and then I'll dictate into it. And then if I want to have a variable field, so what I mean by that is that I'll say lumps and bumps examination, and it will come up with my lumps and bumps examination with like translucency, shape, size, and I'll just say next field, and I'll just speak into it, and it'll populate as I go along. Now that works really well for some of the examinations which can differ. The other way I use it is just to have like your standard. So let's say I do an upper limb neuro examination, 99% of the time it's normal. So I'll say that again, go through governance, checked, right, we're hitting everything. Obviously, they have to do that examination, but again, it's standard text which comes up to save me writing the same thing out. So I found that really useful in the commands. The other thing with the commands is bringing up like a letter as well, which I can then edit. So we will have referrals to orthopedic surgeons, for example, and it's the same template, but obviously you've got different data in there. So, for example, you might have a right hip or a left elbow. So I'll say open new letter. It'll come up. It'll come up with my options. I'll click my my orthopedic surgeon I want to send it to, open my template, and then it'll come up with my variable fields again. So, for example, I'll say right hip, gentleman 77, failed physiotherapy, and it's come out with this lovely blurb that I've done as a preset, and it's really quick and takes away the brain power as well. So I like it from that point of view, from the commands. And I suppose that's also involved a bit of a step-to-step command, which I'm sure you want me to talk about next, Paul.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about all these commands, and I know you're kind of a command king. You like it, but it is those step-by-steps where you've got lots of mouse clicking and things like that, where I know you've automated that using these step-by-step commands with Dragon. But also, I noticed there's quite a lot of people on your team, and being able to just say you add a dozen more commands, and you can get us to share them across all your users, so everybody's kind of that productivity gain that you get, the whole team are getting, but instantly, because with DMO having kind of a higher management tier, we can manage what commands are being used, shared, what words are being shared, what auto texts are being shared. So it's not just your own personal bit now, it's the whole team are getting the benefits of the work that you've done.
And I'd say
so I'm guessing they probably
draw.
think you're probably some sort of superhero.
Yeah, I don't tell them I've met Paul. I just have done it all myself.
Absolutely.
But again, that's the key, isn't it? If you can show people how to use it, and they say, right, these are the commands that you use, and they're quite a favour with those. But then also you can say, well, actually, we can reduce all those clicks that we do, because we do a lot of clicking, especially in SystmOne. Because obviously it's Java based, so the way that it works, it's click, 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 click. But actually, I can open it up, so I can. And the next thing I'm going to do is prescribe, to be able to open a new drug and just prescribe it, because it's the same thing over and over again.
Sure.
For a lot of mine, anyway, that is, because for example, for an injection for the knee, it's the same medication, it's the same dosage, so I can audit, I can make that a command, a step-by-step command to go through. And just to give you some ideas of what I use it for, I've got open a new task to the MSK secretaries. So I've automated, so select the team, select the appropriate inbox, and then I can just write it out and send it, rather than having to open, click that. And again, it's just those clicks, which in a day you must do 1 million clicks. It's just outstanding, really. I do it for the letters, which I told you about, pathology requests. Paul mentioned to me about the pathology filing their bloods as well. We can't quite do that with ours because we've got imaging, because there's too many variable fields. But for the blood side, then we've got that, which is quite useful if there's any GPs or medics on the call.
It's highly repetitive. This is where we try and steer users to these commands, because it tends to be that highly repetitive, but lots of. And I think
Yeah.
Bloods is an ideal example of that, where you're saying file as normal instead of doing all the clicks and the navigating bit with your keyboard.
Yeah,
No,
absolutely.
that's fantastic. Okay.
So I think the other thing to say is that we use it for like Word documents as well. I know it's just a little thing, but you know, essays or policy writing. We've sometimes used it in a meeting as well, just so you can quickly dictate what you need to, which is quite useful.
I think that's a good
things
point.
Like that.
I think it's a good point, Phil, because a lot of people just focus on the use inside of SystmOne, but it's worth mentioning that, you know, NHS mail, a lot of users use sort of messaging, AccuRx, or they use inpatient triage systems. Speech recognition is a tool for all of that, and that's a good point, and thanks for mentioning that. Okay, so I'm going to move on to do a quick demo for everybody, sort of a live demo, give them a flavour of how it works in SystmOne. Phil, if you wouldn't mind just sticking around, there's a Q&A at the end, if that would be okay. I'll share my screen again and give people a quick overview demo of SystmOne and DMO. So thanks again. Oh, hopefully, say if somebody, either Liv or Phil, could just confirm you can see SystmOne. Okay, perfect. Thank you, Phil. So this is the dragon bar up here. Basically, when the icon here is green, and I'll be controlling this with my keyboard, I'm using the product. Demonstration is based pretty much around a consultation, but it will give an idea of some of the additional stuff that Phil and I have been talking about as well in way of commands. So let's just go off and find ourselves a patient. Open patient. Organ. Search. Select. Start consultation. Patient presented in surgery with malaise and joint pain over the last week, full stop. He is known to have suffered bouts of rheumatic fever in the past, full stop. Press tab. Splinter hemorrhages of his nail beds and red cells on urine microscopy. Code this. Press enter. Blood cultures confirm Streptococcus viridans infection, full stop. Press tab. BP 135 over 80. Code that. Rheumatic aortic stenosis. Code that. New line. On examination, colon. Normal heart examination. Press tab. Safety net. That's a quick overview of using DMO inside consultation. Other, like I say, this is some of the stuff that Phil's done. This is more a template. It's not exactly what Phil's done, but it gives you an idea. But if I want a template brought to my screen, rather than me grabbing my mouse and doing the clicks, assessment template. It's just a case of using a voice command to bring something up onto the screen. So it's really, really nice and easy. This will work. A lot of people work with Arden's templates as an example. So you can voice command your Arden's templates. And then inside of these templates, this is where you can introduce more. So if, for example, you wanted a tick always to be here, and you wanted, I don't know, a block of text to appear here before you start your bespoke dictation, these are steps that you can build in and automate as you go. Okay, but much the same as SystmOne and the words. When we're in a document here, we just literally switch on. 74-year-old gentleman took a fall in his residential property, sustaining an undisplaced fracture of the left pubic ramus, full stop. And you just dictate directly into your templates. Some of the stuff that I would love to show but can't are things like some of the processes that you guys do as clinicians. Purely, this is a demo system. So, for example, I don't have a blood result I can sign off, but this is the sort of stuff that the software is capable of. Okay, and just to reiterate, you know, this is not just about SystmOne. If I wanted to do an email now, I'd use some speech recognition. If I want to AccuRx a patient, and again, this is where we can introduce. So a lot of people send automated messages to patients, for example, and that might be opening up AccuRx and saying, as discussed, you have been suffering from low back pain. Please use the attached website link to manage your pain more easily, or whatever. That could be a 2-word command, back pain advice, or 3-word command, should I say. And that would actually type out that AccuRx message, put in the links, and complete that as a process. Okay, so this is the sort of stuff it's capable of. Again, a lot of people are going to be thinking, yeah, that's all very well, but how easy is it to produce, for example, an auto text? So there's one that I used. So I take the scenario that I've just dictated this into my patient notes, and I regularly examine someone's chest and everything's normal. So this is a regular thing that I'm going to use. So to create an auto text, the quickest way to do that is to tell Dragon that's what you want. Create auto text. And there's your basically there's your block of text. Normal heart or routine heart examination, call it whatever you want. When you use that trigger, the text will appear for you. Again, Phil mentioned that they use it for safety netting and things like that. Very popular in GP world for safety netting, but drilling it down, safety net 2-week wait, new line, safety net mental health, new line, safety net chest pain. So these are really quick and easy to add, but obviously, you know, it just makes sure that this is important stuff that needs to go in the notes. It just makes it quicker and easier to do some of them, the repetitive stuff. Again, letter writing, it's going to work in Word. It's going to work in integrated Word with SystmOne. Some people may not want to produce their own documents, but it's also possible to, for example, dictate a letter into a task and maybe send that through to admin to deal with the documentation bit. But it does mean that they don't have to type it. They can just produce the document and use a copy paste functionality. Just while we're on that, we're going to produce a task anyway. So I'm just going to sort of dispel the myth that it's so accurate, because I've probably said all this 1,000 times. The way that the system works today is DMO is using AI. Okay, so when you start dictating, it doesn't start typing. And I'll display that now. It actually starts running an algorithm. So it's listening to you first, and it's not going to put any text in until you complete your dictation. That way, accents aren't a problem. Poor pronunciation of a drug name, for example, doesn't matter. The AI will tend to pick that up by looking at words around words. So like I say, I'm just going to dictate a couple of sentences, but you'll notice that nothing appears until I complete the dictation. A 74-year-old gentleman presented in surgery this morning with hypertension, blurry vision and central chest pain. Full stop. Episodes normally last 3 to 4 minutes. On occasions, he complains of pain radiating down his left arm. But it's at that point where you stop dictating that the text appears. And not only is this the reason that it's so accurate, but it's also not going to spell things incorrectly. One of my favorites, and it sounds daft, but you'll see what I mean. Mr. Payne presented in surgery with low back pain after lifting a heavy pane of glass. And there's where I've used pain 3 times in a different context in one sentence, and it's been picked up by the algorithm, and you'll notice that pain is spelt correctly on each occasion. So that's a quick a quick overview of DMO. We're going to move. Just going to move back into. Let's just bring this slide up. You will. Okay. Swiftly move into. So I'm just going to just reiterate what sits behind. So the reporting function that I mentioned earlier will allow you to produce, if you want, ROI reports, but it's also just making sure that it is being used. If someone's usage drops off, is there a reason? Do they need some more training? So there is this reporting, and this is also available during like a trial period. So if you're testing this for a team or a group of people, even an individual, you will actually get some sort of results back to tell you potentially what it could save. Financials I always kind of struggle with a little bit, because in healthcare it might be seeing a few more patients, or it could be whatever you want it to be, but these reports are really useful. Okay, and there is the option of a free 30-day trial. My colleague has put a link in the chat, I believe, that will take you to a download page on our website where you can instigate a free trial if you want to. Okay, so more than happy. Your trial's for a month, so it should give you plenty of time to give it a whirl. And Q&A. See, I realise time's crept on a little bit, but if there are any questions that you want, feel free to put them in the Q&A. Happily field any questions that you have.
We had a question just regarding if it would be recorded.
Okay.
It will
yep.
be.
It will be. So yeah, we'll send you out a recording as soon as possible. Sorry, Lou, I just wanted to go back to a slide with our details on it. Any more questions in there, Lou?
Yeah, we have. What happens if we already have the previous Dragon Medical Practice on their computer?
So it would be a case of upgrading to the new version. It is a brand new version, and so therefore it would be a new subscription. But you can approach us on just approach us and either email or via the website, and we'll talk you through that. But it is, like I say, it is a case of just moving to the new version.
Someone's asked a question about the cost of the software.
Again, if you want to make if you email sales at Crescendo Systems or give us a call, all of the information's on the website. We'll talk about pricing on an individual basis. It is fixed. It is a Microsoft product, but we basically there are different offerings depending on clinical systems you use and that sort of stuff. So I'm not trying to evade the question, but yeah, if you approach us direct, we can cover that.
Lovely, and I've put the sales details into the chat as well for everyone.
Perfect.
Just another question asking how the data is secured or where it's stored.
Okay, it's always an interesting question around data. It's all stored on Microsoft Azure servers. They are all NHS tried, tested, security. Storage, we don't actually store anything apart from your additions. So what I mean by that is your auto text are stored and your added words are stored. Okay, but in terms of your text, we don't store anything. We process your voice in the cloud and we send the text to where your cursor is. So when you're dictating something about your patient, there isn't any record of that up in the cloud. It's in SystmOne's consultation notes, or it's in the document. Okay, so when we're not storing anything, we're processing.
Okay, great. And just one final question. Someone asked if it only works in SystmOne or if it works in other clinical systems.
Okay, it's pretty much any system. Certainly, obviously, you keep mentioning SystmOne. There is the other one, EMIS. Yes, it will work inside of EMIS. Yes, it will work with Rio. It'll work in some of the private sort of patient management systems that are out there. Typically, it's going to work in pretty much any application. Very, very few that I've come across that it won't. Even then, there's a workaround, I hasten to add.
Okay, perfect. That's all the questions I've got so far, unless anyone wants to put any more forward. If not, thank you both for your time.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, everybody. Just checking time. So yeah, almost the time, only a minute over. Obviously, the Q&A is there if there's any other questions that people want to put in there, or you've got all of our details. You can contact us directly. But yeah, just before we depart, I'd just like to thank you, Phil, again for your input here. It's been really great. And also thank everybody for joining the webinar. You will get a recording, and obviously come to us via email or telephone if you want any more information, or a free trial or whatever you want. You've got our contact details. Okay, thanks everybody. Bye now.